Let's play with one more idea. I think of it as a skill because for me, this is one of the toughest ones to learn. The idea of helping your kids learn to solve their own problems. There's a part of me that wants to make my life, the lives of my children, perfect. There's a part of me that wants to protect them and do things for them and not let anything hurt them in any way, shape, or form. I want you to have a perfect life. Does anybody have the power to actually make a perfect life for their children? And so at a certain point in learning about parenting, I had to recognize that kids need to be able to become strong through struggle. Kids need to be able to become strong on the inside by learning to develop that sense of self-efficacy, the idea that effort can make a difference in my life. With effort, I can solve problems, I can make good decisions. When I make good decisions, good things happen in my life. When I make crummy decisions, crummy things happen in my life. But I get to be the player, the actor that helps to determine what's going to happen to me in my life. Learning to solve problems on your own. This was tough for me because a part of me wanted to be overprotective. But being overprotective doesn't help kids learn to be strong on the inside. And so I had to start learning to practice letting kids solve problems on their own. Little problems sometimes, like boredom. If a kid at age 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 says, "Dad, I'm bored," should you jump in and solve that problem? Well, let's go to the store. I'll buy you another game, or you could have some ice cream, or you could do this, or I could call up the neighbor and make him come over and play with you. Who should solve the problem of a kid being bored? 99% of the time, let the kid solve it. You might have to be nice to your sister and go over and see if she could play with you. You might need to go and make friends down the block. You might need to figure something out on your own. Should mom and dad always jump in and solve little problems like boredom? The answer is no. How about this one? Getting someone to play with you. Susie won't play with me. You got to go over next door and tell her mom to send Susie over here because I need her to play. She says I'm mean. I want to play with Susie. You got to go make her come play with me. What do you think? Should that be my job to go over and make Susie come play with my kid? Oh, so sad Susie won't play with you. What are you going to do? How about something simple like this? What am I going to wear? Dad, I don't have anything to wear. That's so sad. Do I need to solve that? Do I need to do anything more? No. Do I know that this kid has a perfectly good range of outfits and clothes somewhere that she is able to wear? Do I need to solve that? Because she's a little bit distressed that what she's probably doing is manipulating me, right? How about a simple one like this? Allowance. I need some money and I need it now. I can't wait till Saturday. What are you going to do? I'm going to give you a really simple formula to use with these kinds of little situations. It starts with the basics. What always comes first whenever we're dealing with a conflict or a problem with a kid? There's just a little hint in your handout and on the board. Whenever we're dealing with a conflict or a problem with a kid, what's the first step? Empathy. What is that?
Recognizing their feelings.
Noticing how they're feeling. And what do you have to do to get into an empathetic state? What do you have to do to manage yourself, to get yourself into an empathetic state?
Self-regulate.
You have to self-regulate. You have to get calm on the inside, calm enough so that you're not worried about a whole bunch of little things, but you can actually focus on and notice other people. Empathy is a very strong, powerful, positive emotional state, isn't it? It doesn't come from a place of weakness. It comes from a place of you being strong enough on the inside to notice and care about what's happening with other people. Getting yourself into an empathetic state. There are some days when that's hard, isn't it? Aren't there? Anybody ever struggled with that? Yeah. But getting yourself there is the first step in doing this with effectiveness. The second step is asking a powerful question that I wish kids got asked a whole lot more. It's simple. Oh, nobody play with you? Bummer, man. What are you going to do? I love looking a kid in the eye and saying, what are you going to do? What does that question imply? What are you going to do? What does it imply? Raise a hand so I know where the voice is coming from. That they what?
You have to do something.
That it's on you, that it's your problem to deal with. What are you going to do? What else does it imply? That he's capable of making a decision. I'm not going to throw him into solving a problem that he is not yet ready and able to manage. What are you going to do is an implication that you are big and strong and smart and ready enough to handle this situation. Kids should hear that a whole lot more, don't you think? Instead, we flutter over kids, we protect them, or we tell them what they should do, we lecture them. But that doesn't give them the opportunity to solve problems on their own the way this kid needs. Then, if you are in the middle of a situation where it is possible to do so, sometimes you will offer kids suggestions, a menu of ideas. I'm going to show you exactly how to do that by asking them, how would that work for you? And then the hardest step in this whole process is, at a certain point, offering a couple of ideas, if that is appropriate in this particular situation, and then walking away and letting the child decide on her own. You only do this in situations where there's no life-threatening emergency. Nothing horrible is going to happen. Most little problems in the lives of children are like this. And so I'm imagining Matt when he was about 8 years old, and he was a Cub Scout. And he was looking for something. I heard little boy searching noises up in the bedroom, and then down in the garage, then down in the basement. This kid's searching. How many of you know what little boy searching noises are like? And do they usually leave a little bit of a mess behind them when they're engaged in that kind of searching pattern? Finally, he comes to me and he says, Dad, I've been looking for it everywhere and I can't find it. And he hasn't even told me what he's looking for, but I know what it is. It's a precious small object that could easily be mislaid. It's his Boy Scout knife. He earned it in some kind of a Cub Scout activity. It's really cool. It's a tool. It's sharp. It's a symbol of masculinity to this little 8-year-old boy. He really treasures this little Boy Scout knife. But if I've told you anything about Matthew, you know that he learns through mistakes. He learns sometimes the hard way. And he's a little impulsive and a little creative and not always real careful before he acts or speaks. And it was one of those situations he had lost his knife and he couldn't find it anywhere. Is this life or death? Do I as a parent need to solve this? So it's not life or death, so we can use this technique. And are you ready? Where does it start? Empathy. Oh, Matthew, this is so sad. I know you really love that knife. Second step?
What are you doing?
What are you going to do? What are you going to do, bud? Well, I don't know what to do. I've looked everywhere. Well, would you like to hear some ideas? Would you like to hear what other kids might try in a situation like this? Now, I kind of like to offer suggestions with that phrase. I don't like to say, would you like to hear, based on all of my adult wisdom and experience, the exact right thing for you to do? That's a little arrogant, don't you think? And sometimes we come across like that with kids. Instead, would you like to hear what other kids might try in a situation like this? Completely letting him know that this is his thing, that I'm not going to bail him out. Would you like to hear what other kids might try? Well, some kids, they would go right back to the same places they've already looked, but look again more carefully. How would that work for you? You could do that, maybe? Yeah. Would you like any other ideas?
What if I don't find it? What do I do next?
Well, if you don't find it after you've looked, I don't know. Well, here's another idea. You could hire your sister. She's pretty good at finding things. Maybe you could pay her to come help you. How would that work? You think you could do that too?
I could go down.
Well, good luck working this out. And then I do the hardest part here for me. Then I walk away. Did Matthew ever find that Boy Scout knife? Nope. It was gone. Where it went to, I will never know. But about 2 months later, they had another one of those Boy Scout activities, Cub Scout activities. They went out and they sold magazines. Well, Matt sold a whole bunch of magazines, and he was able to get another prize. And this time he got one of those knives and forks and spoons and screwdrivers and corkscrews, those things that have 20 different instruments on them. And it's a little bigger and harder to lose, right? How long did it take him before that was lost? About a week and a half. Do you see a pattern here?